Close enough to it. If the clerk could please call the roll.
Alderwoman Patricia Klee.
Here.
Alderman Tom Lopes.
I'm here.
Alderwoman Jan Schmidt.
Here.
Alderman Mike O'Brien.
Present.
Alderman Dave Tenza.
Here.
Brandon Laws is here. Alderman Ernest Jetty.
Here.
And Alderman Ben Clemens.
Here.
Okay, first thing on the agenda is public comment. Seeing none. Communications, there are none. Unfinished business, there's none. New business resolutions.
R 2002, relative to the acceptance and appropriation of $294,000 from the Community Development Finance Authority into capital project grant activity investment tax credit program for the Performing Arts Center.
Alderman OBrien, I'll entertain a motion for final passage of R 20002.
Yes, I would like, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion of final passage.
Thank you. And we have here with us tonight Director Cummings. Director Cummings, if you just talk a little bit about this, about where this money is coming from, what it's going towards.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Chair. For the record, Tim Cummings, Director of Economic Development. What's before you is a piece of legislation that is essentially a pretty boilerplate administrative contract that needs to be approved by this body for the mayor to be able to enter into it. It is with CDFA, and it is to actually effectuate the tax credits that were awarded to us last summer. So this is administrative in nature. It's essentially a document where we'll be able to accept and receive the tax credits that CDFA has awarded to us. In the aggregate, it's just about $367,000. What nets to us, the city of Nashua in cash, is $294,000. And this is a pretty standard document that has been reviewed by our legal team and is in final form for approval.
Thank you. Questions for Director Cummings?
Mr. Chairman?
Alderman Jetty?
So for those who don't know, what is CDFA?
Yes, CDFA is Community Development Finance Authority. It is a private nonprofit here in the state of New Hampshire that is authorized and empowered to execute on certain type of programming, particular economic development, community development type programs on behalf of the state of New Hampshire.
Just have a logistical question. With this money, should it pass the Board of Aldermen, it does become available to the city immediately? Where does it go once it is available to the city?
So once it is available, it would be transferred to the city, but it's only available once the tax credits have been sold, and then it's, as I understand it, passed on to the city in tranches, once a year or something to that effect. It's my understanding that actually the Capital Campaign Committee has already received pledges for all the monies that's been awarded. This was the first project in the state to sell all of its tax credits.
Alderman Lopes?
So in terms of internal restrictions, we can't use the bond for construction until this fundraising mayhem is figured out. But is this something that you would anticipate? Because I know it was an intention of yours to try to break ground in the fall. And I mean, other than maybe using current gifts like the Bank of America, this is the only money I see that you'd have to do that.
We wouldn't start construction until we had all the sources of funding lined up.
So you're not just going to build the walls and then try to hope the roof comes along?
Would you like to respond to that question?
No.
It doesn't merit an answer.
Alderman Jetty?
So as I understand it, these tax credits are businesses in the state of New Hampshire who have an obligation to pay business profits tax or business enterprise tax or perhaps unemployment compensation tax to the state of New Hampshire, and they agree to allocate this money that they would be paying to the state, and that they get a credit towards their taxes for the money that they've signed up or pledged to contribute to this project. Is that correct?
Essentially, yep.
And I also understand there's a condition that if this project, we have to complete this project in order to remain eligible for this money. If we don't do the project, we don't get the money, or we have to return it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also understand this is not Nashua, City of Nashua tax money that is for which these businesses are getting credit. It's the state of New Hampshire tax.
Liability.
I'm sorry?
Yes, it's the state of New Hampshire's tax liability that one would have.
Thank you.
Further questions? Alderman OBrien?
Thank you. Mr. Cummings, in our acceptance of this, and when it goes before the full board for the acceptance of this, this will show others, in your opinion, of our commitment to this particular project. Am I correct in saying that? It will show others around. It could actually enhance more contributions for this, that we as aldermen are taking this project very seriously and moving this forward. And this is just one of the baby steps that we are moving towards as we go to a successful completion of this project that will enhance our city. Am I correct in assuming all that?
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
I believe that is a correct and fair assessment, Alderman OBrien. As been previously noted by other speakers and the mayor most recently, a recognition by an organization like CDFA gives credibility to the project. I think that cannot be understated. Bank of America, Enterprise, all these wonderful institutions are making serious commitments to this project. Putting the dollar value aside, the willingness that these institutions are trying to get involved in this project sends a great message to the community and to the city of Nashua.
Alderman Clee?
Thank you. It's not so much a question that I have, but a comment. I went and picked up the CDFA check at the State House, and when I spoke to them there at the state, the people that gave it out, they were quite impressed with our project. They were quite pleased, and I spoke at our other Board of Aldermen meeting, and I stated that they said we would have been eligible and received more money if we didn't have the soup kitchen. I'm glad the soup kitchen got every penny that they got. I would love to see them get more, but the bottom line is they were quite impressed with our project, and they fought to make sure that we got what we got, and would have loved to have given us more. So I think it's truly, it has a lot of backing and power. So.
Alderman Lopes?
First, I am surprised it was actually a physical check, like it was a big phone check probably. But second, I am appreciative of this just because I want to make it clear that we are accepting money for this project. Like, we will take money from people who are willing to donate. We're also being resourceful in where we're looking. So I expressed concerns in this very room very early on, that even like the whisper of mention of using CDBG money. But true to form, we have not gone near that. We have recognized the role that that plays in other projects and with other needs. But the question still comes, like, who's going to pay for this? And a lot of the dialogue we've had so far has been a dialogue where it's either the taxpayers through city money or donors through private funding. And there are other resources and there are other alternatives that do fit nonprofit private criteria. But I am encouraged by seeing the resourcefulness of looking for programs like this. Like Trish, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of a slicer pie in future years, because if this is money that New Hampshire taxpayers are already paying, why not get a slice of it for Nashua for this project, which is then going to be helping generate more revenue? I think I can see why a lot of New Hampshire is excited about purchasing these particular tax credits, because maybe they want to come to the Performing Arts Center. So this I'm particularly in favor of. I like seeing this kind of funding coming forward, so I support it.
Any other comments or questions for Director Cummings? Seeing none, the motion on the floor is for motion by Alderman O'Brien to recommend final passage of R 20-002. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carried. I should also mention, I apologize, forgot to mention earlier that President Wilshire is also here in attendance at the meeting. New business ordinances,
There are none?
public comment. No one signed up for public comment tonight. Remarks by Alderman Lopes.
So at the last Alderman meeting, I invited everybody to Noche Mexicana, except that Margaritas is still working on repairing their water main. They will be open soon to all of those who are fans of margaritas, but not soon enough for my trip. My organization involved to Impact, we're gonna try to have a going away party next Wednesday at Rum Bar. So anybody who wanted to come to Noche Mexicana, don't do it tomorrow because they'll be closed, but come to Rum Bar the following Wednesday.
Any other comments by the Alderman? If not, I'll entertain a motion by Alderman Laws for going to non-public session.
I move that the Planning and Economic Development Committee and the Committee on Infrastructure go into non-public session by roll call pursuant to RSA 91-A3. Consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property which, if discussed in public, would likely benefit a party or parties whose interests are adverse to those of the general community.
Okay, motion by Alderman Laws. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Alderman O'Brien. Discussion? No?
Let's do it.
Would you please call the roll?
Alderman Clee.
I'm not a member of your committee, I'm just here as an interloper.
You're on infrastructure, though, aren't
This
you?
is a joint
No,
infrastructure
I'm not on either.
PEDC. Oh,
She abstains.
There's an interloper.
Well,
I'm an
welcome.
interloper.
Alderman Lopes.
I'm Inter Lopez. I say aye.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes, I'm here. I say yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
yes.
Alderman Laws says yes. Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
We have 6.5 yeas.
You might want to.
Yep, so let's let them
off.
know.
Okay.
Got it?
He says we're all set.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Should I stop and